on to the final part of chapter 6 in this session. And it's another famous episode from Jesus' ministry. And it asks us a big question. Will you believe Jesus, or will you put your faith and your energies into what is going on around you and what other people say? And it's a really important question that we need to settle in our hearts and keep on settling, because it'll always be challenged, this one. Now, it's that episode where they are going to go in a boat and they're going to go across the Sea of Galilee, and Jesus leaves them to it. He goes and prays. Now, what I want you to see, I want you to see several things from this, because it's such a good learning tool. It's such a good example for us in our walk with Jesus. Now, here's the point. Jesus, when you read it carefully, in all the different accounts of this in the different Gospels, Jesus knew there was a storm out there. He in one of the Gospels, it says he made them get into the boat. He had to force them to it. These are guys are fishermen, these guys are sailors, many of them, they're experienced, and they knew there was a storm out there. But Jesus said, you're going to the other side. You're going to the other side. Have you learned some of the stuff that I've been teaching you? Because that's what faith does. Faith goes through something, and faith comes out the other side. There's no testimony without the test. And we have to start using our faith, not just trying to avoid difficult things, but we go through difficult things and come out with the victory the other side. Now, here's some points. God didn't send the storm. But often our destiny lies on the other side of some of the stuff that is out of our control and happens in our life. And God, the God of this world, the enemy, is running the show amongst unbelievers. And so you have to go through some of the consequences of that to get to where you're going for the glory of the kingdom and to bless you. So that's the first kind of thing I wanted to get at. Second thing is this. Once you decide to live like this, people are going to laugh at you. People are going to ridicule you, because unbelievers, people who don't trust Jesus, even some Christians who don't know how to walk in faith, are going to think you're crazy. And that's okay, because actually the Bible tells us that they can't understand how we think and they can't understand how we behave. So it's okay. And then we then get on, the storm arrives. So what is the storm? Well, obviously in this case it was a physical storm, but there's all sorts of storms in life, and they all have one thing in common. They put pressure on our thinking. They put pressure on us, and the question is, where will we put that pressure? Will we put it in our trust in Jesus, or will we put it in all sorts of other stuff, natural intellect, what people say, our friends, Auntie Florrie on the phone? Where are we going to get? Where are we going to rest that pressure? What is determining our thinking? Now, while all this is going on, what we find out in the story is Jesus is actually just praying. Now, I think he would be praying for them, because he's basically given them an exercise that's going to develop their faith to go to that other side. And what we find is that after several hours, deep into the night, the disciples in that storm are keeping going. They're still trying to get to the other side. And the story tells us that Jesus then goes, and this is what we all remember about it, he goes and walks on the water. But there's a little phrase in there saying he made to pass by. It was as if he was going to go, hi guys, I'm going to the other side, you keep going, But Peter shouted out, and the other disciples shouted out, particularly Peter, and Peter said, Lord, let me come to you. I want to come walking on the water too. Command me to come. Why did he ask for the command? Well, Peter knew he couldn't do it himself. But if he had a word spoken by Jesus, he could do it, because Jesus would provide what was needed. So he gets out of the boat, and he's doing great. He's doing great. He's walking on the water. Now, as far as I know, that's not a common thing. I know, I've tried it. I once had a go. I thought, okay, well, let's go to the swimming pool. Let's try the walking on water things. I tried it. I failed. It didn't work for me. So there's something amazing about Peter's faith here, based on that word of Jesus directly to him. But what happens is he takes his eyes off Jesus. He stops resting his faith in the storm on Jesus and starts looking at the storm. He starts looking at the waves. And as he starts looking at the waves, he starts looking at the problems, starts looking at the circumstances, his thinking gets clouded. The pressure on his thinking pushes him somewhere else and he starts to sink. Now, here's the question. What has a storm and waves got to do with your ability to walk on water? The answer's nothing. You can't walk on water naturally, whether there's a storm, whether there's waves, or it's perfectly still. It just can't happen. And so what we've got here is Peter's faith sets off well, but when the pressure comes, he looks to other things. He's kind of trying to straddle the two between Jesus and between all the stuff that's going on around him. And that's the easiest way to sink in your life. And Jesus comes and he says, Peter, you of little faith. Now, a lot of people read that and they have this mental picture of Jesus as kind of an angry guy. But I don't think that's how he said it. This Peter had just got out of the boat when none of the others would, and he'd walked on water. I think this is what Jesus is saying. I think he's saying, Peter, that little faith, why did it fail? Why did it fail? What happened there? You put your trust, you got your eyes off me and put them somewhere else. Let's learn from that. Let's grow in faith so that doesn't happen again. Always put your trust in Jesus. So that's it for today. I'll be back tomorrow. Before I do that, read chapter 7 and I'll see you then.